a break! And every day we're gonna get up and do the same thing over and over again, just like this. So you can make us do it 100 times, 1,000 times, because guess what? It's never gonna change, all right?
The day before, the team had joined the 1987 Palo Alto Invitational. As they lined up at the starting line to get ready, the privileged runners from private high schools teamed up to mock them.
Where the hell's Mcfarland?
Yeah, they can't run without a cop behind them.
Or a Taco Bell in front of them.
The blatant discrimination made Thomas furious. The referee fired the starting gun. The whole group raced toward the distant hills. After a long run, Thomas, who had been annoyed from the start, suddenly sprinted ahead on a sandy stretch. But runners from other high schools teamed up to block his path. Having had enough, he pushed the troublemakers aside and ran with all his strength chasing first place. Yet the endless uphill slopes drained all his energy. They were used to running only on flat ground and couldn't adapt to hilly terrain at all. They ended up suffering a crushing defeat in their first race. Naturally, the rich kids mocked them relentlessly. After the tough competition, Jim apologized to every team member. He admitted it was his fault for failing to scout the track in advance. These farm kids were only used to running on flat ground, and the hilly course completely threw them off. Early the next morning, Jim took them to a sandy field covered with almond shells for special training. After just one round trip, Danny was almost exhausted, but Jim pushed them to train until it felt normal, until they could face the hills with ease. They ran lap after lap hard up the small slopes. Their young figures were like a vivid painting, flowing with the rhythm of life. When everyone finished and stopped to rest, Thomas kept running without slowing down. He shouted angrily at Jim, asking how many more laps they had to run. 10, 20, or 100?
Take a break! You think you're tough, White? Well, we're tough, all right? We're not runners, we're pickers. And we're always gonna be pickers. And every day we're gonna get up and do the same thing over and over again, just like this.
You can make us run these hills 100 times, 1,000 times, but you can never change our cold reality. In this poor town of Mcfarland, everyone's fate is decided the moment they are born. His desperate roar was nothing but a helpless sigh against unfair destiny. Feeling hopeless, Thomas made up his mind to quit the team. When he got home, he saw his father lose control completely. For no reason, he kept punching the hard wall over and over. Meanwhile, Jim finally realized he had forgotten his daughter's birthday cake. He tried to make up for his late arrival with a meaningless happy birthday, but his daughter refused to accept his excuse. She locked herself in her room, ignoring every call from her father outside the door. Troubled and depressed, Jim drove out at night to clear his mind. On the overpass, he ran into Thomas. Jim stepped closer for a better look. Tears welled up in Thomas's eyes. Bruises also marked his face. It turned out that his father had just come home from working away that very day. Yet his underage daughter had unexpectedly fallen pregnant. Overwhelmed by rage, the father kept slamming his fists against the wall. Thomas tried to stop him, only to get accidentally hurt.
Look, if he hurts his hands, he can't work. Do you get that?
The boy was so mature and sensible that it broke your heart, and his restless behavior on the bridge also filled people with deep anxiety. To calm Thomas down, Jim opened up about his own troubles too, but it was clear their sorrows were worlds apart. One struggled just to survive, the other to live a decent life. Seeing Thomas still refuse to come down, Jim changed his approach. He said the drop was nowhere high enough to kill him, but it would definitely shatter his legs for good. He'd end up a burden to his family. After Jim's heartfelt and reasonable persuasion, Thomas finally gave up his thought of taking his own life. Naturally, he went back to the cross-country team. After all, running was the only glimmer of light in his dark days, and this ray of light was also closely tied to Jim's future. Eager to help the team get better results fast, Jim began to study the theories of cross-country running in earnest. He also learned subtle running techniques from old videotapes. Then he hopped on his little pink bike, training alongside the team members day after day. He passed on all his skills and knowledge to them without holding anything back. The warm glow of hope filtered through the dappled tree shadows. It flickered faintly amid the quiet graveyard grounds. Every moment of his hard work had settled deep within him, lighting up the road to their future. Soon after, at the inter-school meet, Mcfarland High faced a highly ranked rival. Before the race, Jim gathered all the team members together, uniting them in his own unique way.
Where are we from?
Uno, dos, tres, Mcfarland!
Mcfarland fell slightly behind at the start of the race, but endurance was these kids' greatest strength. As their opponents began to wear out, star runner Thomas stayed unnervingly calm. He looked fully determined to claim the victory. Sure enough, in the final stretch of the race, he suddenly sprinted ahead and overtook his rivals, one after another. The other Mcfarland runners also moved into the lead. That day, they claimed their very first victory as a team, but they didn't celebrate wildly. They simply hugged one another quietly. Yet this little boat of hope had barely set sail when it hit another rough patch. The next day, the three Diaz brothers left without a word.
Out.
Out, what do you mean out?
Out, like, off the team.
What?